All right, let's talk about wealth. We are absolutely surrounded by it, right? At least images of it. But what's real and what's just a show? In this explainer, we're going to cut through all that noise. We're going to deconstruct the real principles of building wealth and separate that flashy illusion from the often kind of surprising reality. You know, it really all starts with this one question. A question I'm pretty sure we've all asked ourselves while scrolling through our feeds. How on earth is everyone affording all this stuff? It seriously feels like everyone else is living their best life. We're talking exotic vacations, brand new cars, designer everything. Like, did we miss the memo on some secret money tree? Well, the truth is way, way more interesting than that. Because here's the cold, hard reality check from our source material. Despite what it looks like on the surface, the vast majority of middle-class families, even folks with professional careers and what you'd call good incomes, are living paycheck to paycheck. They are financially fragile. A lot of them are just one unexpected bill away from serious trouble. So, what is bridging that huge gap between what we see and what's really going on? Well, that brings us perfectly into our first section, the modern wealth illusion. We're about to pull back the curtain on what people are posting online and see what's actually funding that lifestyle. This right here, this breaks down the cocktail that funds the performance, and a huge ingredient is debt. Get this, about 1 in 3 Americans are carrying a credit card balance from month to month. Another 40% are running a side hustle, basically trading their evenings and weekends for extra cash. And then you've got the stuff you can't see at all. Help from family, or making massive sacrifices in other parts of their life that, just don't make it into the Instagram post. So all of this, it builds up to the first major myth we absolutely have to debunk. This idea that wealth is a performance, that what you see, that flashy car, the expensive dinner, is a direct reflection of someone's actual net worth. And this slide just lays out the real cost perfectly. On one side, you've got the performance, the luxury cars, the trips, the designer bags. But on the other side, you've got the price. And that price is steep. We're talking high-interest debt that can creep up to 20 or even 30%. Grueling 70-hour work weeks to keep those side hustles going, or maybe a retirement account that's basically a ghost town. It's always a trade-off. So the most important point is captured in this quote from the source material. It creates this fascinating paradox, right? The people who are performing wealth are often broke, while true wealth, it's quiet. It doesn't need to prove a thing. It's the person driving the 10-year-old car who might just have enough cash to buy the entire dealership. This brings us to the second myth, and oh boy, it's a big one. It's that feeling that building real, quiet wealth is, well, just impossible. That the hill is way too steep to climb, especially when you're just starting out. And you know what? That feeling is completely valid. It's what the source calls the manual labor phase of building wealth. See, when you're starting from zero, every single dollar you manage to save comes directly from your own pocket, from your own work. There's no compound interest doing the heavy lifting for you yet. It feels like you're trying to fill a swimming pool with a tiny garden hose. It is painfully slow. I mean, let's just look at the math. Let's say you bust your butt to save and invest $5,000. A fantastic 10% return on that gets you $500 a year, which is nice, I guess. But it's not life-changing, right? You could probably make that working a few extra shifts. And it's right at this point that most people get discouraged and think, see, investing isn't worth it. But, and this is the most important part, just look at what happens when you hit that first big milestone. That same 10% return on $100,000 is now generating $10,000 a year. All of a sudden, your money is working harder than you are. It's like you've hired a tireless employee who works 24/7 and never complains. This is the acceleration effect, and it's where the entire game changes. So how do you get there? The path isn't some big secret. It's just not glamorous. First, you have to do everything you can to maximize the gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is your superpower. Second, automate your investing. Set it up so it just happens without you ever having to think about it. And third, and honestly, this is the hardest part, you have to be ruthlessly patient. You have to endure the short-term discomfort for that massive long-term benefit. Okay, let's tackle our third myth, the whole idea of the magic number. We hear these big, round numbers thrown around all the time, right? Like earning $1,000 a month in dividends or retiring with $1 million. But what do they actually mean in the real world? Let's start with a really practical goal. Let's say you want an extra $1,000 a month in passive income from dividends. It sounds amazing, doesn't it? Money just showing up in your bank account. But how much money do you actually need to have invested to make that happen? Now, what's really fascinating here is that there's no single answer. It all depends on something called the dividend yield. That's just the annual payout as a percentage of the stock's price. So if you're in a conservative, broad fund yielding 3%, you need about $400,000. But if you're willing to take on more risk in sectors like energy or real estate through things called REITs or individual high-yield stocks, that capital you need drops a lot. The whole point is understanding that trade-off between risk and how much cash you need to get started.
Okay, so that brings us to the ultimate magic number, the one everyone dreams about, becoming a millionaire so you can retire. You hit that number and boom, you've made it, right? Time to go buy the yacht? Well, let's take a quick look at the reality. And this really shows you what $1 million actually translates to in retirement income. Using the standard 4% safe withdrawal rule, your $1 million portfolio provides you with about $40,000 a year to live on. Now, when you add in the average Social Security benefit, you're looking at a combined income of around $61,600. Look, that's a comfortable retirement for sure, but it's probably not the lavish, fly first-class everywhere lifestyle that people imagine when they hear millionaire.
So after deconstructing all those illusions and busting all those myths, where does that leave us? It leaves us with a brand new framework, the real rules of money that can actually help you build lasting, meaningful wealth.
So here it is, your new financial framework. Rule 1, true wealth is quiet. Don't fall for the performance trap. Rule 2, your savings rate, that gap between what you earn and what you spend. That is your ultimate superpower. 3, think of your money as an army of employees. Your job is to put every single one of them to work through investing. 4, remember that the first $100,000 is a brutal, brutal grind, but momentum will follow. And finally, 5, focus on understanding the math behind the numbers, not just chasing some magic milestone.
You know, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Our education system teaches us calculus and Shakespeare, but somehow it completely skips over the fundamental rules of money that will literally impact every single day of our adult lives. So now that you know them, the only question left is, what's your first move going to be?